It is Relic Knights Week here on BeastOfWar.com, and we have some fantastic prizes up for grabs. 5 in total. First up, we have 4 two-player starter bundles to give away to get you and a mate into the game. These will include 2 starter factions of your choice with the rules you need to play. We then have our 5th prize, which is a bit of a special one. You will win an expanded 2-player starter bundle, again, of the factions of your choice with the rules you need to play. But on top of that, you will get to work with the design team at Ninja Division to design a brand new miniature for Relic Knights. For your chance to win, get your comments in on any of the themed content this week on Beasts of War, YouTube or Facebook. Stay tuned and enjoy the week. Hi guys, welcome back to another Relic Knights video here on Beasts of War. Right, John, I want to have a talk about some of the rules, and I'm wondering what sort of changes and stuff are you making?
Well, we've had the last couple of years to put some polish, not only on FAQs and sort of responding to the community and working within the rule sets we've developed, but we've actually looked at the rule sets that we've done, and we think that there are a few key places where in the next rendition of rules, moving on into our second edition, we need to address for play style to kind of pick up the pace a little bit. You know, we've had so much playthrough that this is really a great way to streamline that gameplay experience that we already streamlined to begin with, just to make it a better game. And so,
So basically, this isn't new rules; it's cleaning up rules that are already
absolutely.
existing.
It's just a polishing of the stuff that we've already done, and I think a lot of the players will agree that this is a great route to take.
Okay, well, give me an example.
Sure. I think from a high level, we wanted to introduce a couple of things to sort of set the stage for new content that's coming with Voidbreak, which is our next set. The first of which is we wanted to introduce something called avatars as a class of model. Beyond Relic Knights is another incarnation of Esper-run creatures, something called an avatar, and we'll get into that later for story purposes, but that's something to look forward to. Another would be upgrades. Units, specifically non-character units, have new options being employed, so you'll be able to get units, maybe add weapons or special characters or elements to them, giving you a little more customization and flexibility within your forces. Everybody's asked for it. We always tried to keep it super simple, but I think at the end of the day, we're not asking too much if you wanted to add a really cool gun or a type of weapon or effect to your existing models.
Well, it's like you say, it's that next level of customization of telling your stories within the world.
Absolutely.
You know, so if I want to have my Corsairs and I have one of my main units and I want to add, say, a big nasty Gatling gun or something to that, you know, having that option there is always nice.
Yeah. And I mean, it does add for more playability and more refining of the force lists as well. I mean, we've traditionally used boosts as sort of our offset to allow 3 or 4 points to be spent to give you random upgrades, and having a little extra here in the squads helps too. So
yeah, well, I mean, like for the boosts, I do love having that idea that, okay, I've came 2 points shy of making my 50-point total. There's no guy in this game that's going to cost me 2 points.
Right.
Oh, look, I'm going to grab a landmine. That's sure to cause some havoc.
Yep. You know, everything from ammo boxes to health crates to everything else. And it sort of taps into the video game feel of it as well. You know, giving little quick energy upgrades to your guys on the field as a part of a deployable unit. So, yeah. No,
it's a very, very cool idea. What else do we have happening?
So let's go now to the dashboard. Dashboard play and the way it operates is very slick and clean. But we did notice that in smaller scale games, players could really take advantage of massive reactivation of very powerful characters if they, you know, clearly wiped out some of their younger guys or just didn't field a lot of units to begin with. And so what we want to introduce is a placeholder card.
Okay, well, hang on. Before we start, to actually explain to me how this activation was being abused, how does it work for smaller scale games compared to bigger scale games?
A smaller scale game utilizes fewer ready slots for units.
Okay.
So if I'm playing a 35-point skirmish, a very light game, I only have 2 ready slots that I have to fill.
Okay.
So if I only pay for 1 or 2 characters, when I lose a character, I'm essentially reactivating the same model over and over and over, which gives you a power advantage depending on the type of model that it is in a given space. This can be thwarted by enemies. Of course, you know, as that character goes rampaging through your guys, you're going to be activating your most powerful stuff over and over as well. We like the idea that there is a building crescendo in the game, but we did want to be conscientious that larger games wouldn't be, you know, taken too advantage of. And so the idea that you introduce a placeholder allows those ready slots simply to be filled by a card. So that means that an opponent who does have an active number of units on the field versus an opponent who has literally almost none, there is going to be a time difference between the amount of things that are going to be activated between the opponent who has almost no models versus the one who does.
Yeah, so while I'm down to, say, my last mega unit,
Right.
I have 2 slots, you have, say, 3 units.
Correct.
While I'm activating that mega unit, it then goes away, and then I'm having to wait 2 of your activations then?
You'll have to wait 2 activations until you can come back and do it again.
Okay, that seems to sort of balance things out to me, that it's not just, okay, I'm going on a rampage. It's, okay, I'm doing something, but it takes time for me to do that, and my opponent has time to actually deal with me at the same time.
Right, and we do hope that it encourages building more tactically balanced and flexible armies, so that there are backup units to be there and to fill those slots, so you're always able to do something.
Yeah. Okay, well, guys, I do like that idea. Drop your comments and your own thoughts below if you are playing Relic Knights at the minute.
Yeah.
What else do we have?
Well, we wanted to change up Held Esper a bit. Held Esper is amazing. Picking up extra energy and kind of sitting on it and using it later in the game is powerful. And we're going to try to keep that flow of Esper moving, but instead of having 2 Esper of any color of your choice when activating it, we're going to reduce it to 1. We think that gives you maximum flexibility while not overpowering certain spells, which puts a lot of importance on higher level characters spending more time trying to store up that energy and have it be useful both for activating spells as well as for any of their other inherent abilities. So although that may seem like a bit of a pullback, it does actually leverage out the power levels on some characters, and you'll find that the balancing effect is really quite refreshing, I think, for a lot of the models.
Okay, well, again, guys, if you've heard it here, go take a game, give it a go, and tell us what you think of it.
Yep. Another really big important one is looking at blocking and redirecting. So we have lots of damage mitigation in the game. There's armor, there's blocks, there's redirects. There's ways to stop incoming damage.
Yeah.
And frankly, someone with a good hand can just keep up a force field and just prevent damage from happening. But we do want games to move. We want models to explode and fly all over the place. And if you're going to sit there and take a beating, just like playing your favorite fighting video game, once you throw up a block, you're still going to take a little bit of damage. So we've decided to adjust this so that half of the damage that's incoming is the one that you actually block and redirect. And you're going to take the other half. So their squads are going to start to get piecemealed down. Robots are going to get beat up. Heroes are going to get a black eye. I mean, it's not going to be as deadly as before, but you're going to be able to mitigate and move that damage around, just not as much as before.
Okay, one important question. Say I have a block and a redirect. Can I stack those 2 things together to actually then completely nullify it, even though I'm having to use a lot of resource?
The only ways that you're going to be able to nullify incoming attacks is by stacking a redirect action or a blocking action with your armor. So your armor is the thing that sort of souses and soaks up some of that incoming damage. So if I am running my Diamondback, my big robot, right? My Diamondback has 3 armor, and if he throws up his shield, he's not going to mitigate all the damage. But if I cut that incoming damage in half, and that goes from 6 to 3, and then I have 3 armor, I don't take any damage. So that's very effective against power level weapons up to a certain point. So.
All right, so yes, you can still block all damage, but you're having to do a lot to do it. I agree with this a lot more, because in combat, you're not just suddenly going to throw up a magical shield and just the entire wave just disperses on you.
Right. And and it keeps games from dragging out if you have one masked, unkillable character sitting in the middle of the table just directing all comers, right? You're going to take hits, and that's just how it's going to go. So.
Oh, that I like, because it gives a definitive end to it.
Yeah. Another one we wanted to talk about was targeting models in squads. And we talk about danger zones, because in our game, we've enjoyed sort of the cinematic effect of control actions, basically picking up models and tossing them, right?
Well, let me actually set up a unit here, and you can show us on this.
You bet.
So let's say I have one of the Diamond Corps here with, say, a full 5-man unit.
Okay.
So here's what we have here. 5-man unit of Diamond Corps. Let's say they've been hit. What's going to happen here?
Okay, so any hit coming in that targets a single model within vision, if it was to target a model on the outside and hit it, let's say it's a line weapon or a beam weapon or something to that effect, danger zone represents anything within 3 inches of that model taking a hit, having any sort of carryover effect into the squad, which means before, all of the damage attributed from an attack would just wash out into the squad, basically like a big sponge. They're 3 wounds each. Once you've crossed your damage and your damage mitigation, then that extra damage basically pours out into the squad, and you're removing models hand over fist. In this case, the only models that can be affected by that are anybody within that 3-inch radius. In addition to that, any control effects, such as a move, like forcefully pushing you up against a wall or tossing you around, can only affect models in that radius as well. So it keeps the whole squad from being picked up and tossed around like rag dolls. Whereas if you want to string them out and stretch them out, that's great. If you group them together, you're at a risk. So you run the risk of getting them all pulped doing that.
So as this stands, pretty much any of these guys get hit, they're pretty much all within 3 of each other.
Right.
But if I start to string everybody out and around the top of this, I can actually mitigate that so that if this guy's hit, I think only these 2 guys would actually be taking the hit.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Okay, I like the idea of that because it means that your units are less squishy.
And they're already pretty hard, but it gives them another step of defense in the place where we already had something like their shielding or their blocking abilities, which we've now reduced. So there will be damage being tossed around. Models are going to be removed from play, but in this case, you can affect that a little bit more.
Yeah. Okay. Very cool. Very cool. I like this idea.
Yeah. And really, the other 2 things are just a couple of cleanups on the back end. Some of the people have identified that some of the scenarios feel particularly unfair if you play as a particular faction. The examples of which you can read in our forums. But they're well thought out responses to our writing so far. And yeah, a couple of scenarios need a little bit of cleanup. And then we've decided to take Relic Knights and, of course, the new class of Avatar and push them up to a scoring level of 5 points as opposed to 3. It does take quite a bit of effort to drag down one of the bigger heroes. So we thought that the points needed to reflect that in the game. But otherwise, that's generally it. I mean, the game has a good flow. It plays very well. It's really competitive. You can play multiplayer. You can do all kinds of cool stuff with it. And we think these cleanups are really going to lend for just better quality gaming.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll tell you what. We'll call it at that. Guys, drop us a comment below. Tell us what you think of the rules changes and updates to Relic Knights. Do you have any suggestions of your own? Get them in the comments below. We'll see you in the next video.